guys, it's not so mechanical. Like, just be aggressive when you do it. Like just want it more than everybody else. You know what
I
I'm
love it.
saying? And I used to get to the point, like when we were talking about bunting, I used to get so confident. I used to be like, all right.
Artiaga drives one to center. Miller hustling over. Diving catch by Ian Miller. A great catch.
3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Nine Hole Podcast. This is your host, Ian Miller. Obviously, I've been talking about it throughout the entirety of my career. I relied on my speed on the bases, at the plate, in the outfield. And today I am joined by Zack Granite, who I've had previously on the podcast and has blessed us with his ideas and his process behind stealing bases, playing your game. And today we are going to be talking about the art of small ball. Zack, how you doing, brother?
I'm good, Ian. Thanks for having me on, baby.
I love it, dude. It's a pleasure to have you here. It's a pleasure to talk to you about this stuff. And before we went on air, I was talking about it when I shared the field with you in college, in the pro ranks and the minor leagues. I tried to emulate the stuff that you did. You had debuted before me, so I was always trying to play like you, catch up to you, do the things that you were doing on the field, and kind of what separated you from the pack was your ability to get on base, make shit happen. And you had a plethora of different ways that you were able to do that and get on base. So I wanted to talk today about the bunt. It's kind of a lost art, bro. We're not seeing too many bunt base hits nowadays with launch angle, data, home run numbers, slug gets rewarded, bro. So I wanted to bring you on. I wanted to ask you some questions about bunting, the mechanics and the ideas behind it. And man, maybe I know you got a bat with you. I got a bat with me. Maybe we run through some ideas and how to do it, dude. So first off, what are the different ways of getting on base with a bunt? So like with a sack bunt and a base hit bunt, obviously different players are going to be able to do different things with different bunts. Obviously, when it comes to a speed guy, we could potentially get a base hit with a sack bunt, just getting it down. I struggled with bunting and then running. So I was always trying to run out of the box before I even made contact. So my barrel would drop. I would foul a whole lot of stuff off. I would, have some poor bunts put in play. Man, what are some ideas behind sack bunts and base hit bunts? What are the differences and what are like the different ideas behind it?
So I love, like, guys like us, like I love this topic, right? Because it is a chess game, right? How are you able to touch a baseball and get on base, right? Like, and that's the coolest thing to me, right? So for me, I had the similar thing to you sometimes. So I would go out of the box first, like that would be my move sometimes. And you're right, the barrel ends up dropping, right? So one thing that I did just for base hit bunts is I would always take a jab step so that now my head gets closer. So then it's easier for my barrel to be in the zone longer, right?
Oh,
So I don't get that. I kind of go here this way, get my head close to it, and then I go. And that really, really helped me. That was like a little bit of a little twist in my bunting game that helped me get those base hit bunts.
I love that.
And with sack bunting, I mean, listen, I went to Seton Hall University. We bunted a lot. We bunted off the machine. We bunted in practice. So you didn't get bunts down. You couldn't swing, right? Like, so you want to talk about, like, you got to get the bunt down. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Like, there is no, I want my swing, so I'm getting the bunt down. So for me, it was just like, you're pretty much just tracking with the barrel. So all I would do is I would get it to the top of the zone, and all I'm doing is I'm just watching it hit the barrel. Just watching it hit the bat. I'm not moving on a sack bunt. So, like, I know you talked it, like, for us, yes, maybe we could get hits because of how fast we were with sack bunts. But my goal, like when I was asked to sack bunt, I made sure that I wasn't moving until that ball was down. And I see it all the time with guys. Like, they're trying to, yeah, it's a sack bunt. And they're just like, it's like, no. Get down, put it down, then go. Like, it's called a sacrifice for a reason. And I know, listen, anytime we can get a hit, but in this aspect, you're asked to do a team thing, right? It's not an individual thing. And you can only hurt yourself individually by asking to do this team result, right? So if I'd rather take the sack bunt and not even try to get a hit and make sure I'm getting it down rather than maybe popping it up or fouling it off. And now I'm in a tough spot because how am I going to get myself in a 2-strike count? Now what? Now I might be asked to sack bunt again, or now I'm swinging away where I haven't even taken a swing yet. And I'm in that bunting mode, so that's the tough part.
100%.
So like for me, the sack bunts, I didn't get asked a ton in Pro Bowl, right? Because that's not really a big thing in Pro Bowl, sack bunting, only in like certain situations. But the base hit bunt was just like, it was such a tool for me. It was unbelievable.
In any count, in any situation, like were there
Any
specific
count.
points? Yeah.
Any count, and especially with 1 strike.
Really?
That was my favorite time to bunt because if let's say I took first pitch, right? So whatever, I'm in a count, right? Whatever it is, I take right here. What does the third baseman do? All right, he's swinging. So now I'm in everybody's head. Okay, he's swinging. So now it's just a way to get him laxed. Guys like us, Ian, like if we catch you off guard for half a second, we're safe.
Yeah.
So I almost felt like I didn't even want to lay down that first pitch. And especially now if he throws a ball, whoa, game on, right? Like now I'm in a great spot, 1-0. I can do a lot in this position. Then it was like, now let's say it is 1-0. I go to bunt. He throws another ball. I pull it back. Now it's 2-0. All right, now let's go. I'm a hitter now.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
That's right.
And I used it. Not only did I use the bunting as a tool to get on base, I also used it as a way to see the ball better, right? Like, I think people don't understand that aspect of it. Like when I'm laying a bunt down, I'm getting my head like super close to the ball, right? Like I know I'm probably not the best angle here, but like when I'm bunting, like this is where I am, right? So I'm taking my jab step. So now my head is like literally over here. He throws it here. It's like, boom, right here. Now, this is how I bunt down the third baseline. I know we're talking about maybe going over some techniques. So I wanted to get my lead arm out in front and keep this back, right? So keeping my hand above the barrel here. And all I wanted to do, so I was really, really soft with my front hand here, right? Like, so, because I just wanted to like catch it and almost feel like it's going to go that way, going to go back. Okay. I just wanted it to dribble out a little bit. That was really it.
For sure. No, makes sense.
And another thing that we talk about, sorry, I know I'm trying to catch myself up because I get so excited with this stuff.
I love it, dude. Same.
Going down the first baseline with lefties, it's like automatic. It's automatic because the lefty's falling over down the third baseline. So if he's falling over down the third baseline, if I can just get it past him. So now when I went down to first base, my top hand was strong, right? I was pinching the back. All I wanted to do was get it by the pitcher.
Gotcha.
So if I got it by the pitcher, so when I'm ready, I'm here, and then I would go boom. So now my head is in a perfect position, and then all I'm doing is carrying that bat.
So your head. So my problem was my head would bob a little bit, right? I would get down and I would come up and I would leave early. And I think that's where my sight would start to get fucked up a little bit. What you're talking about is any type of movement that you're doing is towards the pitcher, staying linear, right? The ball isn't like, you're keeping your head still. You're just gaining ground maybe that way.
Yeah, well, that's why I think the jab step with me was so important because now look where I get my head. Now all I'm doing is that, right? So like my head's not moving anymore, which is allowing me to just boom, see the ball and get on playing with that baseball.
Love
right
that.
at the top of the zone. And especially nowadays, like you're seeing so much with the like 1-0 counts, it being even a faster guy, you still might get a changeup in that scenario, right? Like so you got to be able to put a bunt down in that situation. And I think that's why when I got here, I was able to keep my bat in for so long. Because even if I got, jammed a little bit on a bunt, it doesn't matter, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't need to be perfect. I'm not trying to, it's just about getting it down and past the pitcher.
Love that.
Here's another scenario that I loved. I think I did it probably at like a 90% clip. Lefty on the mound, runner on first base. So the first baseman has to hold him on. The second baseman's in double play depth, so he slides up the middle a little bit more. So I would go essentially even harder, right? Because once you get by the pitcher, it's a race between the second baseman trying to field the ball coming in and get you out. But I already have a running start. Guys like us, we're 3-something down the line on a bunt. So you got less than 4 seconds to throw me out. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just not.
100%, brother.
That's really really tough. So
100%.
like the success of that is great because the area where you can lay the bunt down is so big,
Yeah.
right? Because like even as a first baseman, if you field that ball, you're not beating me to the base. It's tough for a first baseman to field the ball, um, and beat me to the base, right? So like it was just such a big tool for me, being able to do stuff like that in high pressure situations, and
Dude,
especially
yes.
lefty lefty. If I'm gonna get a, it was almost. I'm not even gonna lie. I was extremely good at it. It was almost like a free hit. I was getting 20 bunt hits a year at the top level. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a lot.
Yeah,
That's a
dude,
hit a week.
that changes. You look at the entirety of the season when you're done, you look at your average, and it's like, okay, I was a 275 hitter. Well, if I got an extra 10 or 15 bunt base hits, maybe that gets me up towards 300. You know what I mean? You're talking about 20 plus, dude. What?
Yeah, yeah.
It's absurd.
And for me, like when I was going bad, I try to bunt more because I got my head close to the ball and I just saw spin better. I was just more confident seeing the ball when I got close to it like that. So it was almost like a twofold thing for me. Like I used it as a weapon, but I also used it to see the ball better.
For sure.
And that was, I mean, listen, we've all stood in the box and being like, dude, it looks like a grain of sand. Like I can't see this. I don't know how I ever hit. You
For
know what
sure.
I'm saying? Like, so there's times and peaks and valleys in our performances and stuff like that. So I think it's a really good tool that is so underused in today's game at every single
Yeah,
level,
I feel that.
like
Definitely.
especially in the high school and college level. Like there are so many free hits with those guys playing back, and I'm jealous of the guys that have some power. Dude, like imagine you have power, but now you can lay a bunt down. Like you just become the most dangerous player on the field.
How you defend that? How do you defend that?
I'd be
Can't.
scared to be a third baseman. Like a guy that has got some pop. He can drive it by me. Now he can lay one down, right? Like talk about another tool in your arsenal belt. That was a big
Yeah.
thing that Doug Mankiewicz used to talk about with me. Like just you want to be the most dangerous player on the field. Like
Amen.
when you come up to the bat, you want everybody to be like, "Whoa, what is this guy going to do right now?" Right? And that's exciting.
For sure, brother. I could not agree more with everything that you're saying. So there was a lot to unpack there. I'd love to kind of just break it down a little bit further. So what you're saying, getting your that some guys talk about it like, hey, when I'm bunting, I got my D Gordon bat right here. Chandler D Gordon. He gave this to me my last year, so I'll break this out. So when you're bunting, some guys would say like this is your gun and your eyes are the sights, right? So you want to get like your head. Obviously, you're not going to bunt like this, but like you get your face in there, you get your eyes in there.
Yeah.
Um, just being able to see the ball and maybe break out of a slump. For me, I was always told that, hey, when I'm scuffling, I'm hitting 250, 260, things aren't going well. I'm not utilizing the bunt enough, which throughout the entirety of my career, I definitely did not utilize it enough. I was afraid to do it. I didn't want to give away a strike. I didn't have a ton of confidence with it. But when things weren't going well, I was always told that that might be a great way to bust yourself out of a slump.
Yes.
Above all else, if you just get your eyes up there and you put your nose on the plate and you're at least going to fake like you're going to bunt, pull back and track that ball all the way in, like maybe that locks you in. Maybe you re-see the ball a little bit. But if you are able to get a bunt in play and you are able to get a bunt base hit, that might start turning things around and you might just need that bunt base hit. And dude, there were times I can remember twice in my career, one in the PCL when I was with the Iowa Cubs in 2021, and one time when I was with the Jackson Generals in 2015. I was scuffling and I remember pulling out a bunt and it was like a crazy, just wasn't even a pretty bunt, dude. I got my nose in there, ended up getting a bunt down, base hit, out of the slump, and things just started rolling a little bit, dude. So that's powerful. I love everything you're saying. You get your eyes in there, maybe you see the ball a little bit different than when you were standing up straight in your stance with your hands. Was there a different? I know that you said that maybe going to third, your top hand might be a little less firm, and going to first base, your hand might be a little bit more firm because you do want to put a little bit of jazz on that ball going to second base or first base. Was there a difference in mechanics when you were going to third or first? I know that you might be stepping over a little bit or moving a little bit more linear when you're going to first, but like, is your hand placement different? I know it might be a little bit more firm, but like, what was different?
So like the biggest thing was like I just when I knew I was bunting, I choked up a little bit, like a little bit, but when I knew I was bunting, I would choke up a little bit more. So like I maybe
Okay,
even gave it away, but I feel like people really don't pick that up as position player, as like pitchers and stuff like that. So like because I didn't want to slide my bottom hand. I had to keep my hand still. I
okay,
tried this where like the almost like the Jeter where I get like both hands. I hated it. I couldn't do it. I wasn't good at it. So I was
same.
like, you know what? I'm just gonna leave my bottom hand and I'm just gonna get my top hand there. Right. So like I knew the position, it was like super easy for me. Like that to me, right? Sorry, I'll raise it a little bit so you can see it. Let me see if I can get a little bit different of an angle here. So maybe it makes it easier for everybody. So like I wanted to make sure when I was going, it was like for me, this is a super easy position to get into, right? I was just boom.
Yeah.
Right. So now that's me going down the third baseline. Right. So and all that is I try to do this as late as possible down the third baseline because obviously it's got to be a better bunt down the third baseline, right? You have way less room for error. As they say, it's either foul or it's either foul or perfect, right?
Yeah.
And like especially for strike one. So like for me, it was I just wanted to be here. I wanted to get as late as possible, and then it's boom here. I'm getting my bottom hand more out in front, right? I'm just creating angles. That's all I'm doing, right? At Rod Carew, I know we talked a little bit before we got on air. He wanted to think about just getting the knob of the knob of the bat down the first baseline, right? And that's a great angle to be in, right? Like the knob of the bat down the first baseline. So for me, all I try to do is get my lead hand out far. If I got my lead hand out far, I knew that was going to be a good angle.
Mm,
Right?
mm.
Nothing too crazy, but like right in this position right here. And I just did it a ton, right? And then like down the first baseline, I was more here. I got there a little bit earlier because I wanted to drag that bat across.
Got you.
So I'd get my barrel set to the outside corner and then come across the plate.
Ah, I like that.
So that was a really big thing for me because especially like fastballs away for us, that was like a lot of guys' bread and butter. Like I wanted to take that away, so I wanted to be able to get to that outside pitch. Like we talked about, I wasn't scared to get jammed on a bunt, right? Like so I did get jammed a lot, but I would just pull it more, right?
Yeah.
Like you just kind of pull it in more, like that's all it was. So it was just presetting and then going, right? And like that was a really like I'm talking down the first baseline was where my bread and butter was made. Like that was literally it. Like, and there was times where I didn't even get it by the pitcher. I just put it like down the line by accident
Dude.
because of, you know what I'm saying? Like, it'd be like, oh my God, that worked out perfectly. And it would just be like an accident. You know what I'm saying?
It's
But
perfect.
like,
It's perfect, man. And dude, not to cut you off. D. Gordon would call that the no defense bunt. When you would
yeah,
kill it like down the first baseline. You know
yeah,
what I mean? The no defense bunt. You can't play defense against that bunt, brother.
yes. I think the biggest thing with bunting though is like you need to buy in, right? Like so for me, you talk about like I didn't want to get a strike on you. Well, for me, like I was never scared to hit with two strikes.
Mm.
Like, let's go. Like it's me versus you. I'm choking up. I'm gonna put the ball in play. I'm gonna do what I have to do. But like I bought into all right, I got to get on base for my guys behind me, right? Like I enjoyed being the team guy, right? And I think that's why I had so like success.
Yeah.
Is I bought into all right, I got to get on base so my guys can eat. My 2, 3, 4 hitters can eat. You know what I'm saying? Like, and they liked when I was on base. The reason being is guys like us who were fast. What do you get when a runner is on base fast? What do you get? You get a ton of fastballs.
Have
So
to.
now that you don't get to Pro Bowl without being able to hit the fastball, right?
For sure.
So like that to me getting on base for my guys, or even like we talked about runner on first base, I'm like I get a base hit now it's first and second for 2, 3, 4 hitters. My God, who doesn't want that? You know what I'm saying? Now that stakes on the table for everybody. Like it's just a good team morale thing. Like when you're able to do stuff like that. And let's be honest, pitchers hate base hit bunts.
For sure, dude.
They can't stand it, and nothing made me happier than pissing off the pitcher. Like I love to this day. I still don't like pitchers. Like
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
dude.
Like I bought into that. Like I had to buy into like screw you. Like, I'm going to piss you off. Go ahead, curse me out, whatever you want, bro. I'm going forward with a base hit bunt.
That's right.
Like, I bought into that part of my game.
Dude, that is amazing. Um, uh, even some more stuff to unpack there. Let's talk about. I know that you were talking about when you're going to first base, you'd set the angle. It's about setting angles, and you would start with your bat kind of on the outside, and you would work in towards first. It makes a ton of sense in my head. What were you looking for specifically when you were bunting? So if you were going to bunt down the third base line, maybe it's a righty on the mound. You're obviously a left-handed hitter. The third baseman is not taking that away from you. So you're like, hey, I'm thinking about putting down a base hit bunt right here to the left side to third base. What are you looking for? You're obviously looking for a fastball away. Would you pull back if you saw a certain pitch or a certain area?
No, so like if he was giving it to me, I just had to make sure that I was going to do it earlier, right? Like, so for me, I was setting my sights out a little bit away, but even if it was in, I could always manipulate the barrel a little bit. Like, I had really good bat to ball skills when it came to that.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, what I looked for was like, this is like the very basic of it. Like, I would set it to the top of the zone. And if it was above, right, if it's above here, I'm just pulling back. That's all it is. And now, like, I try to do it so well, like, where if it wasn't going to hit me, I was literally keeping my head here to see the baseball.
Beautiful.
Right? Like, just I really, really want to reiterate that part of it. Like, it was just so helpful to see the ball better. Like, seeing the spin, it gave me so much confidence.
Love that.
So, like, even as a hitter, so like, that's something that I really wanted to do. But all I really would do is I would set my sights on the top of the zone, and I would just kind of work. I would never try to just drop my barrel. Everything I did, I would try to just lower my body. Right. So like, sorry, let me get the better angle here.
So you would go down to get it maybe with your legs as opposed to.
I would go this way. Right.
Okay.
I would go boom and then go. Right. So it's like boom and go down the third base line. And then even down the first base line, I'm setting my angle to the top, and then I'm going across. But even if it's down, it's boom here. I'm going down to it.
Dude, yeah. So your eyes and your head are level, like with the bat. It is in line with the bat. You aren't, moving your hands down and your head up like I would be. I'm trying to run up out of the box, and it's like before I even bunted the ball, bro. So that's awesome.
Barrel, right? I mean, it's just like. Yeah. It's just like hitting, anytime it's far away from you, like sometimes you start to lose the barrel, right? Like, I want to keep everything in tight to me.
100%, dude. So we hit on the ideas behind it, the mechanics behind it, what you're looking for, man. So not what are you looking to do with it? Let's talk about going down to third base. So if it is a, no strike count, if the third baseman is playing in, you need to be fair or foul. Like, you need to be perfect or foul in a one strike or no strike count, because if it's a foul ball, you just have one strike on you. Were you trying to hit the ball off the end? Were you trying to bunt the ball maybe off the end of the bat to deaden it? How would you deaden the ball? Is that a thing that you can maybe influence?
Yeah. So like we talked a little bit about it, right? So to me, the grip was really important. Right?
Okay.
Like, when we talked about it, if I'm hard with this top hand, like if I squeeze the bat almost like I pinch it, it's gonna come off hotter. But if I almost have like this like really loose grip, it has that little give where the bat kind of like goes back a little bit, and that to me was more important than hitting the end of the bat, right? Because now, like, I understand what we're talking about. Yes, I always wanted to deaden it, but what if like I deaden it too much and now the catcher can throw me out, right? So like for me, I almost wanted to get like that chop, like that straight down, because that kind of kills the ball too, right? So like I wanted that ball to like go boom straight into the ground and kind of like hop up a little bit, because that's what makes it a little bit tougher to field.
For sure.
Right? Like there was just different elements. Hey, did it rain? Is it wet? What did the third baseman just do? Like, if the third baseman just struck out, I'm probably thinking about laying a bunt down that next at bat, because he's still thinking about that strikeout.
It's wild.
Right? Like, what's going on with the catcher? Like, where are they pitching me? That's all really important too. Like, if they're, hey, this guy's starting out, with first pitch off speed every time, like maybe think about, staying more on top of the ball. Like just little details. You know what I'm saying? So like, that was really important. And, also every home plate, like right in front of home plate, the dirt was different. Sometimes it like really killed it. Sometimes it was like really hard. Like you have to like really deaden it. You know what I'm saying? So like
Definitely.
just we talk about like the art, the technique, the buying in aspect of it. Like every little situation is different. There was teams where the third baseman played me over. You know what I'm saying? Like take
Mm,
the 6 hole. They're like, oh, he's not gonna hit the ball down the line, but I could bunt it down the line.
that's
Now
right.
it's he's got to come from a different angle and try to throw me out.
No
No shot.
chance. No chance,
So
dude.
it was just a little different every time. And one thing that I enjoyed to do too is like if I knew I was going to take first pitch as well, because sometimes I predetermine that based on pitcher and like I
Hmm.
want to see something. Like I said, I always bought into the fact that I can hit with 2 strikes, so I was never intimidated to get to 2 strikes, even though I didn't love it, especially as the guys started throwing harder and harder and harder. But you know, like for if he's already playing in, showing bunt first pitch, draw him in even more. Now I try to hit it by him, right? Like now it's like I'm playing that cat and mouse game with the third baseman because if I can shrink the field, that gives me more of a chance to get a hit, right? Like
Absolutely.
it's if he's in more, he has less time to react. It's pretty plain and simple right there. So like
100%, brother.
that's something I would do too. So if I knew I was drawing him in, what I would do then, right now I'm backing off the plate a little bit, making stuff be more away. Now I got my sights set out there. Now everything is like boom, trying to hit the ball deep and trying to hit it right by the third baseman.
Dude, that is
So
the cat and mouse game, the game within the game, bro.
yes, yes.
That is insane. I heard somebody say it like this. I heard D. Gordon talk about it like this when I was trying to learn the ideas behind bunting at a high level and do it consistently. This was back in 2018. I think my first major league spring training. I got a chance to be there and watch how D. Gordon was bunting, went about his business bunting in spring training. And so he taught me about maybe hand placement. He was messing around with his top and bottom hand with the firmness. Everything that you're talking about, like the reverberation in your hand, can maybe deaden it or make it go a little farther. But he wanted to break it down and make it simple for me. So yes, I wanted it to be fair or foul. I wanted it to hit the ground first, boom, and then that's how it kind of deadens. Especially if I'm going to third base. He kind of broke it down for me like this. I remember we would practice it on the machine, and he would say, "Man, pick a spot in the dirt, not even before the infield grass. So you're standing at home plate, you're in the dirt, right? And pick a spot right in front of the plate or on the plate to try to hit it, like bunt it straight down, because when you bunt it straight down, boom, that's where you're aiming. It'll roll and it'll do whatever it does." But that was something that he kind of gave to me that allowed me to the wheels stop spinning a little bit. I was like, man, how the hell do I lay down a good base hit bunt? And it comes down to, hey man, pick a spot in the dirt that you are looking at and aiming for. And he would look at it before he got in the box, and then he would get in and he would just try to touch it.
Yeah, I like to be completely honest with you, I was never a big mechanical guy. Like I had more of the mindset like you gotta fucking get it done. Like, you
Amen.
know what I'm saying? Like
Amen.
it's not that, and that's what I try to tell like my clients, like, guys, it's not so mechanical. Like just be aggressive when you do it. You know, like just want it more than everybody else. You know what
I
I'm
love it.
saying? And I used to get to the point like when we were talking about bunting, I used to get so confident. I used to be like, all right, watch like just in practice, not never in the game, but like I'm gonna try to backspin this ball, try to like cue this ball, so then now I'm it's hitting and then spinning towards the line. Like, you know, like you start doing stuff like that, you have confidence.
That's right,
And
bro.
I started to play around with stuff so much that it was like it became an easy thing. Like I would almost be like, oh, this is, you know, I could do this with one hand if you want me to. You know, I could just
Yeah.
be like, boom, you know, boom. I was so confident with it. And I think that's what's missing with today's players because you know, it's they're very mechanical nowadays, I feel like, and it's more of the mindset and the aggressiveness behind anything, right? You can be an aggressive bunter, right? You can be an aggressive hitter, but usually those guys have more success than everybody else.
I
I
love
don't
it.
I don't care where my back hip is when I'm laying bunt down. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to just get the job done. Just do your job.
Yeah, dude. So I would overcomplicate it with the mechanics of it. I would try to kind of like deep dive into it, and dude, it would just confuse me more. A bunt seems pretty simple. Get the bunt down, buy in, have confidence with it. I'm back here worrying about, okay, where's my hand? Where's my, top hand, bottom hand? Where's my feet? Am I doing a jab step? Am I just crossing over? And it's like, dude, what? The ball's already by you, or you're
Yeah,
missing
yeah.
it, or you're fouling it off.
That's
Like
95 miles an hour and you're worried about where your hands are. You know, it's tough.
Unbelievable. Yeah. It's not a recipe for success right there, bro. And so just I remember talking to Ichiro a little bit in my time in Seattle. He had his interpreter, Alan, who was fantastic, but I would ask him a bunch of questions whenever I could about bunting. And he was not insanely mechanical with it at all either. So the explanations that I got behind his ideas of base hit bunting, it was explained to me like this. He would try to bring that base hit bunt out when he already had a base hit in the game. So people were playing in, like breathing down his neck in the infield, that he knew it's a chance if he tries to break out this bunt. He's not necessarily going to miss a bunt, whiff through it, or foul it off. So he's going to try to put it in play. He needed to maybe be a little bit more, finite and a little bit more precise in where he was going to put it, because everybody was so far in and everybody's, the greatest infielders at the major league level. He would take that chance when he had a base hit already under his belt, dude. Like that.
100%.
That's something that kind of blew my mind a little bit, right? Is that something that maybe you thought about? Like, is that something that maybe you pulled out of the rabbit out of the hat when you had a knock already?
So that's funny you say that. So like I obviously, I wasn't a big home run hitter, but every time I hit a home run, my next at bat, I'm laying a bunt down almost every single time.
I love that.
Showing your game, right? Like, and I think when I had a lot of base hit bunts, it was always in the second at bat, right after my first
Really?
at bat, because there was two different things. I understand what Ichiro's coming from. Of course, you want to get that base knock out of the way, but and that's probably what I did too. Like a lot. Like I get my first at bat up, and then my second at bat, is always in a different situation, right? Especially guys like us. Throughout my whole career up until I got to the big leagues, I'm leading off. Like I led off in high school. I was a 1 or 2 hitter in high school. I was the leadoff hitter at Seton Hall for 3 years. I led off my first year of Pro Bowl, second year of Pro Bowl, third year of Pro.
Yeah.
Like my whole all the way up to the big leagues. I legit led off every single game. So the first at bat's always a little bit tough because you're leading off the game. Everybody's very aware. And the best part about leading off the game is the first pitch of the game is going to be a fastball. So,
dude,
I
remember the first time that I was playing against you in pro ball was like 2000, either 16 or 17 in Jackson, Tennessee.
2016.
2016 in Jackson, Tennessee. And I remember like I was doing the 1 or 9 hole, really wasn't having a great year. And you were like lighting the fucking world on fire the first year that I was playing against you there. And it's like, dude, I remember you'd lead off, and that first pitch was not off the table, like for anything. I'm talking bunts, I'm talking swings. And that's the first time that I really saw somebody being aggressive on the first pitch of the game. It's crazy you say that.
Yeah, because it's I know I'm getting like you can't tell me you can't tell me with 100% confidence every other pitch in the game. You can't. You're never going to tell me, hey, there's a fastball coming in this spot. You know what always comes the first pitch of the game? A fastball.
That's right.
And you know what they try to throw with guys like us? Fastball middle away. They try to set the tone early. So if I know what they're trying to do, I'm going to set the tone early.
That's right.
Like, why am I going to let that first pitch fastball go? I was ready to go. And we're playing every single day. Like, I'm not a big, like, hey, let's work. I was when I was younger, like working the pitcher.
Yeah.
But like, if I can lead off the game with a leadoff single, double, or triple, like, talk about setting the tone for the offense.
Love that.
You know what I'm saying? Like, let's freaking go. Like, we came ready to play today, Royce. Like, we're getting the morale high. Like I said, I was a big team guy. Like, I wanted to get my guys up to drive me in. I wasn't that type of player. I wasn't that big RBI guy. But if I can get on base for my guys behind me, that makes everybody feel better. Right, like now they're driving me in with like a sac fly or a ground ball. I'm getting them a steak. You know what I'm saying? Like that's big time for team morale.
Yeah, dude, team morale, and that's how you at the end of the season you look back. You have more wins than you do losses, and you're probably playing postseason baseball if you have a table setter that can do exactly what you're saying, dude. That is fantastic. Here with Zack Granite again, Zack. Extremely appreciative of your time. I got like 1 or 2 more questions for you. So obviously, like we ran through. The mechanics, the thought processes, however you say that, some of the things you're looking for, what you're trying to do going down to first and third. I love all of it. How do you practice it? How do you refine the skills? And how does a high school player or a college player and younger maybe implement this? How should they go about it? How do they grind behind the scenes? And like, what kind of drills or ways did you practice it had the biggest impact on your bunt game?
Oh, well, the only way to do it the only way to get better at it is to do it, right? Like, and do it off the machine. I mean, like, you know, facilities have it, and practice, high school practices, you're laying bunts down, like, take it serious, like I see guys all the time, like they're jabbing at the ball. I see a lot of guys starting, they're getting bunts down like this. No, just let it come to you, right? Try to keep it as simple as possible. And that to me is really important. At Seton Hall, we bunted a lot. So like we used to hit, and then behind the turtle was the bunting station, right? Like, so we got to make sure you get it down. And when you have a craft, like I wanted to perfect that craft. So like I took it serious. I never took reps off, right? Like I really wanted to just focus on getting it down the third baseline. Hey, can I perfect it down the third baseline? And I played games with myself, right? Like, all right, I got this one like on the line. Now let's see if I can get it halfway in between like third and home plate. Like, let's see if I can get it exactly like 45 feet away. You know what I'm saying? And you start like the detail behind it starts to make it a little bit easier. And you set your mind to something. Like, we are strong individuals in the mind, but like you got to start implementing that in your game. You know what I'm saying? Like we talked about it before. Okay, I had a teammate who used to bunt the ball. It would go up in the air and spin backwards. So I try to do that, right? I'm trying to see how he gets base hit bunts, right? Like that was his way of doing stuff. And so I just tried to watch guys do it and put it into my game. And there's something that I always did too. And I hit by myself a lot in the cages at Seton Hall and stuff like that. I took a round off the machine where I was just bunting. Like that's what I did. While other guys are always taking like 1,000 swings, which I did too. I would just take the 5 minutes it takes and just do 10 bunts to down the third baseline and 10 bunts down the first baseline.
Love it.
Right? Like we talk about it. You need to buy in. Like if you don't buy in, you're never going to be good. Right? Like I if I didn't buy into something, I was never going to be good at it. So it's like I bought into, hey, this is going to make me a better baseball player. It's going to raise my batting average, which to me will always be the best stat there is, like batting average, right? Like, so if it's going to help me, it's going to give me confidence. It's going to help me see the ball better. It's going to help me, it's going to help me show my best tool, which is running, right? Like you're trying to get drafted, you're trying to get looked at, you know what I'm saying? Like this is something that's really important.
Right.
And especially at the high school level, because I train kids that are in high school and stuff like that too. And these kids are really strong nowadays too. But, why not take a free hit if the third baseman's back?
Makes sense to me.
You need to take what this game gives you. If they're giving you hits, I don't care. Like they're not pulling their center fielder to go play down the third base. Like if they're doing that, you hit line drive center field all day. But you know what I'm saying? If the third baseman's playing like deep, that's taking a hit away from you when you smoke it down the third baseline and he's able to field that ball.
Yeah.
So you got to be able to shrink the field. And I think guys need to understand that more, because guess what? You need to do it once. Once you do it once, now they're like, oh, this guy might bunt. Now he's playing in. Now you showcase your hard ground ball down the third baseline for a double. But you can't do that until you shrink the field.
Love it. Oh, I love it.
It's the game within the game. Guys need to play like that more.
Love it. Could not agree more, brother. And just getting one down, like you said, opens up holes. If you buy in and you put the time in, you'll be able to refine the skill, and it'll be able to bring your average up, bring you opportunities, and bring more stakes, bring more runs to the board for your big boys that drive you in. And that's how the game's played, man. It's how the game's played at the highest level.
Yeah. I think even today, at today's game, you need to pass the baton to the next guy, right? You want to just get the next guy up. Let's see what happens if we just get the next guy up. Because you start getting the next guy up more and more and more, that frustrates the pitcher. You're scoring more runs than the other team, which, by the way, is the only way you win baseball games. You score more runs than the other team. And it's good. It's good for the team vibes. You know what I'm saying? Like it's everything in this game is contagious. So if I'm going to be negative Nancy in the dugout, I'm bringing my teammates down. But if we're high-fiving, we're getting the next guy up, we're loud, we're cheering, everybody's happy. Dude, you see, oh, wow. Oh, damn. Miller went 4 for 5? Damn. But hey, even if there's a 3 infield hits, dude, that's still 4. They still count it as 4 for 5.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's right.
It is what it is. There's going to be times where we line out, but there's going to be times where we get our cheap hits. Like you need to be able to buy in on that. I'm a big believer, and if you buy in, you have a fighting chance.
That's fantastic right there, Zach. Man, I am so grateful for your time, your expertise behind the small ball, dude. It's what's gotten you from little league to the big leagues, man, and that's something that I take pride in as well. Something that I looked up to you in your career when you're doing it, and it's fantastic to have you on here talking about it. Man, thank you again so much. We're gonna have you back here at some point. Have to, man, because the stuff that you talk about on here and the stuff that you shed light on is just fucking lights out, bro. So I'm so grateful for your time, man, and we'll see you again here shortly.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you, Ian. I appreciate it.
Of course, man. Anytime. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in here on the 9-Hole Podcast, talking about small ball with Zack Granite. We will catch you guys here again later with Nick Deeney. Take care, Zach. Thanks, brother.
Take care, brother.